In the last hour, Israel's centrist Blue and White alliance has rejected a call by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to join him in forming a coalition government. Mr Netanyahu made the offer to his main rival, Benny Gantz, after failing to win a ruling majority in the second general election in a year. He had hinted at a possible rotating premiership. Well, Mr Gantz has said he wants to form a unity government with himself as the leader. We can go now live to Jerusalem and our correspondent Tom Bateman. Tom, give us the latest about the way in which Benny Gantz and his group have taken this offer.
Well, what we had was a news conference, the image of these three former generals and a former TV personality turned politician in what appeared to be a very measured and considered statement about how they regard these coalition deliberations, but also just in the hours after Mr Netanyahu had made that offer. Now, it was described as being, in their view, spin. Mr Gantz said that you don't come to these kind of discussions with a PR device and other political parties already in process, but you come with seriousness, he called it, and responsibility. So I think that's the tone they're trying to set out here. But we also heard something about the conditions that they clearly want to lay down before doing any deal with Mr Netanyahu's party, and that was primarily that they see this as any agreement being between parties that are not ultra-religious, so the more secular parties, that would rule out some of Mr Netanyahu's usual coalition allies. But also, as they have done in the campaign, they made this very much about him. Because remember, Mr Netanyahu is facing looming corruption charges. There's a hearing due for him in the next few weeks. They said repeatedly that it cannot work with Mr Netanyahu as leader of Likud, that you can't have, they said, a prime minister under indictment. So they seem to be setting out a condition that they want Likud to oust him as leader and therefore as prime minister as one of the conditions for any agreement with them. That would then, of course, set the stage for Benny Gantz to become the prime minister of Israel. But there are many, many political hoops to jump through. And I think what this does is really set the stage for weeks more political bartering.
Just for the bigger picture, Tom, I suppose there is precedent for the idea of a rotating premiership.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's happened before, certainly been discussed in terms of the context of this election, because we had in Blue and White, for example, Benny Gantz and Yair Lapid are the two co-leaders, as they put it. And I mean, in the run-up to April's election, they talked about the way in which they saw this being shared as 2 years at a time. Now, that allowed Mr Netanyahu to kind of pick apart this. He believed that voters, certainly those on the right wing, see Mr Lapid as anathema. He would always talk about Mr Lapid first, saying that you're going to have Israel with Prime Minister Yair Lapid. So that's something that he tried to score political points from. We've even heard some speculation from Blue and White supporters, members, that you could have some form of rotating presidency between perhaps Benny Gantz and a Likud leader. All of that, as I say, remains to be seen, because I think the conditions so far create a situation in which it's going to be very difficult for there to be an immediate resolution, an immediate deal made here.
Tom Bateman, thank you.